What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to JellyGoonTV, and welcome to all you beautiful people on YouTube. And thank you so much for clicking on this video. I really do massively appreciate it. We have another common request right here. It says, react to the death of World War I visualized. And I find the video, finally. So, yeah, without further ado, let's watch World War I, the visualization of the death, I think. So, yeah, let's just get into it. Let's go. How many lives were lost?
This video was made possible by Skillshare. Learn anything you want to learn with Skillshare for free for 2 months at skl.sh/reallifelore18. I purposefully released this video on the 9th of November, 2018. 2 days from now, on the 11th of November, will mark exactly 100 years since the end of the First World War.
Wow, that's crazy.
One of the most destructive and violent wars ever fought in human history. While the Second World War and the destruction it caused often overshadow the First World War, I felt like now would be a good time to remember and visualize the enormous loss of life that the Great War caused. We'll be counting soldiers and civilians separately, as well as deaths and injuries separately. A casualty can be a confusing statistic in war, because it means that a soldier has been taken out of action, but not necessarily killed. Each of these models represents 1,000 people who died or went missing, while each of these models represents 1,000 people who were injured, which when combined equal the number of casualties. And we'll begin the counting with the United States. Over 116,000 soldiers died, and another 204,000 were injured fighting against the Germans and Austrians on the Western Front.
That's crazy.
This amounted to 0.17% of the American population at the time becoming a casualty.
You guys are a lot of people in America.
Only fought for a little over a year between 1917.
So many people in 1 year?
The war had already been going on for over 2.5 years before that. So let's take a look at some of the countries who were fighting from the beginning. The war began when Austria-Hungary declared war against Serbia in 1914, and
so they started everything
worse than any other country during the war.
Oh no.
375,000 Serb soldiers lost their lives in the fighting, while another 625,000 civilians died from famine and disease. That amounted to over 22% of the Serbian population dying during the 4-year-long war.
Wow.
More than 1 out of every 5 people in the country. Serbia was a member of one of the 2 alliances that fought against one another in the war called the Entente, which also included the United Kingdom, France, Russia, Italy, America, and many others, all of whom would suffer terribly. The United Kingdom would send over 815,000 soldiers to their graves, like on the first day of the Battle of the Somme.
That's a lot of people.
1,000 would die in only 24 hours, the bloodiest single day in British history. Over 123,000 British civilians also lost their lives during the war, totaling up to just over 2% of the British population, or about 1 in every 50 people dying. But many more were wounded. 1,675,000 more soldiers, which adds together to 5.77% of the UK population.
That is
then
crazy.
Casualties of the war. Subjects of the British Empire like Australia, Canada, New Zealand, India, and South Africa also fought in the war and took high casualties. Percentage-wise, New Zealand suffered the worst, losing 3.8% of her population as wartime casualties, while numbers-wise, Australia took the hardest hit, losing over 61,000 of her soldiers and suffering another 152,000 wounded, with Canada and India both not too far behind. But the other major Entente powers lost an incredible amount more. The Italians joined the war in 1915, but in 3 years of fighting suffered 555,000 military fatalities, along with 592,000 civilian deaths.
That's crazy.
Another 947,000 Italian soldiers became wounded, representing 5.8% of the Italian population becoming casualties, a figure roughly comparable to the UK percentage. But then there's Russia and France, both of whom suffered higher casualties than the entire Serbian population combined during the war. Russia was the first country to come to Serbia's defense during the war and suffered catastrophic losses. 1,977,000 soldiers died fighting against the Central Powers.
Let me just pause here, man. Jesus Christ, what happened, Russia? You seem to be losing the most people. I don't get it, but okay, I understand, but it's just, watch your soldiers, man. Shit. I know you a lot of people, but God. Oh shit, that's a lot of people, man. Like in World War II, you were up on like 60 million or something. It's crazy, it's blown, it's mind-blowing. What happened, Russia? Jesus. Nice to come off defense of little Serbia. That's awesome, man. That's really awesome. But that's a lot of soldiers and a lot of futures. That's crazy, man. Let's pay respect to the World War I veterans. Or, sorry, they all dead now, but, you know, the people who lay in the grave.
1,140,000 civilians lost their lives, but Russia suffered vastly higher injuries. 4,350,000 soldiers were wounded during the fighting, which together represents 2.5% of the Russian population that became casualties.
There's a lot of Russians.
Enormous losses eventually helped contribute to Russia's spiral into revolution and their surrender in the war early into 1917. But percentage-wise, the Allied country that suffered during the war the most, besides Serbia, was France. Most of the Western Front took place in northeastern France and Belgium, and during 4 years of fighting, 1,377,000 French soldiers gave up their lives in defense of their country, along with 340,000 civilian fatalities. This represented a loss of life for 4.3% of the entire French population, but many, many more were wounded. 4,266,000 additional.
Holy shit, dude. But that's okay. Let me pause there. That's okay if it's the front line. I really do get that, because the front line is almost more casualties. You know what I mean? Like France was the front line for everything, I guess, in World War I. As he said, it was the front line, and they fought a lot. So of course they lost many people, because I think they've been in war the most. You know what I mean? I don't know, but yeah, it's crazy. That's a lot of people, man. That's 4.5 or 5 or something. That's crazy, man. That's wow. That's a lot of soldiers and a lot of futures that it could have been the new Einstein or been something, but you know, the military was the easy way to get a paycheck or something like that, you know, defending your country, loving your country. You don't deserve to die for that, for loving your country. You don't deserve to die for that. You're supposed to stand by your country. That's why. That's crazy, man. Let's just jump into it. Wow.
Total casualty amount similar to Russia's, but from a much smaller population. In total, around 15% of France's population became a casualty during the First World War.
Holy shit!
A horrible loss of life that wouldn't be fully recovered 20 years later at the start of the Second World War. Other Entente countries in order of wartime casualties include Romania, which also suffered terribly at 10.4% of their population becoming casualties, as well as Greece, Belgium, Portugal, Montenegro, and Japan, with only about 1,000 casualties during the entire war. But now let's take a look at the other side, the Central Powers, which were led by Germany. Germany was fighting on 2 fronts for most of the war and also suffered cataclysmic losses. 2,037,000 of her soldiers died fighting in the west and the east, and 594,000 of her civilians died largely due to starvation caused by the Allied blockade of the country. Another 2.5 million German soldiers were wounded during the course of the war, amounting to 7.8% of Germany's population becoming a casualty, while Germany suffered the highest raw numbers of the Central Powers casualties.
Let me just pause here. I need to express something really clearly. Now, I'm not a Nazi or anything like that, and I do not support the way that Germany, they did World War II or World War I or whatever, but it's just, they are people like everybody else. Their soldiers are people like everybody else. They probably didn't have a choice, that they just wanted to defend the nation like France or like England or something like that. And they, you know how people, they are sheeps and they believe in their political power. They believe in the guy who is gonna, you know, go through him, even if it's morally wrong or if it's ethically, you know, fucked up. But no matter what, like you see today, people, they follow their leaders and they follow them to death like a cult. That's why you never should blame anybody. You should maybe understand the political side behind human behavior. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why do we follow people in power, and why do we do these evil things sometimes? Because most of our people are guilty today to do it. Like kids getting slaughtered in Syria, and, you know, all these kind of things, like the death row in the 1960s or something like that, when America, you know, they blasted civilians, which they want to blame Russia for in the new modern warfare, but it is what it is. I'm just saying, American propaganda, but yeah, it is what it is. I'm just saying we need to have a certain understanding for soldiers. Like, soldier is just a soldier, like a street soldier. He's just following the lead. He's just getting told to kill somebody because he needs to feed his family and he don't want to see his country overrun. Like nationalism, you know what I mean? Like he wants. So I'm not siding with anybody, but I just know there's a lot of like the political leaders that is leading the wars. They not clean themselves, just so you know. But yeah, I understand why people, they do hate Germany sometimes for that, but it's 2020, of course, we moved on, but I'm just saying, have some respect for the soldiers who actually, you know, fought for the country like your countrymen did. Like, it's just a country. Like, it's the same ideology all around. Like, we fight for our country, we love our country, we don't want anybody to come and take over. And that's just the aspect I think we need to remember in human beings. Like, we are tribe people. Like, we go after tribes because we have to survive on social aspects of the world. You know, we have to integrate in each other. We have to talk to each other. We have to talk about political things. We have to, you know, we have to make an identity in our body and in our mind and our soul. That's basically what it is. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get like all philosophically in it, but I'm just saying, man, it's crazy, and we really need to think about other people, even though we don't agree with their ideology or the way that they run their country, or if they treat people bad. We really have to understand why they do it in the first place, because that's how you go about a problem. You have to understand that there's a problem. You have to know, why is there a problem? How do I get this problem fixed? You know, it's never the way to throw a bomb in your face and just explode everything. Like, yeah. It's crazy, but let's just get into the last of the video, man. I'm sorry about that, but I just wanted to say that you know, yeah. So let's get into it. Let's go.
Didn't suffer.
That's crazy, Germany.
While Austria-Hungary took less casualties overall, they represented a higher proportion of that empire's population, 10.77%. Over 1.3 million soldiers were killed and another 3.6 million injured, all of which helps to explain why the Austro-Hungarian Empire itself...
There's probably more people who got missed or who didn't get counted on, you know?
The Central Powers side occurred inside of the Ottoman Empire, and most of it was self-inflicted. The Ottomans joined the war in 1915 and suffered 548,000 military fatalities, and another 582,000 wounded fighting against mostly the British, French, and the Russians. But absurdly high civilian deaths inside of the Ottoman Empire were largely due to the Ottoman government's policy of ethnic cleansing against her Armenian, Greek, and Assyrian ethnic minorities. Collectively known as the Armenian Genocide, 1.5 million Armenians were systematically killed by the Ottoman government during and shortly after the war, along with 600,000...
Let me pause here, man. You see what I'm saying? The politicals, if they could do it in America, they would have done it. But the problem is that the people speak and the people will to protest. The problem with this is that people just want to live their life in a poor country. You know what I mean? They just want to survive. They don't want to take responsibility for anything what their country do. They're just proud of being their country. You know what I mean? Like, they don't really follow the politics of doing anything like that. They just, you know, respect their country and they love their country and they love their religion or something like that. They doesn't necessarily mean they agree with the political aspects of the country. It just means that they love their country and they will to die for their country because they love them. It doesn't mean that they fight for the political side of it. But you know what it is. People are different and people are different in every country. But I just see like we all are the same somehow. You know, we all act the same. We all human species. We all act the same almost. But we have different thoughts, different feelings, different everything. But I'm just saying, it's crazy, man. That's a lot of people that died in this war, man. That's crazy. That's a lot more than World War II, I think, for you know, different countries. Of course, Russia is just, whoa, that's crazy. Let's get into it. Let's go.
Greeks and 225,000 Assyrians, accounting for all of this in addition to the military casualties, an enormous 17% of the...
But it's never okay to, you know, make a genocide and just kill people for their religion or ethnic group.
Which can also help to explain why this empire too didn't survive long after the war was over. And finally, Bulgaria was another member...
I don't want to talk too much in this video, that's why, because, you know, I don't want to bore you. Boring.
Of their population,
you know, I don't want to make it boring.
Victims of the Great War.
Bulgaria,
in total and across all countries, about 9 million soldiers lost their lives, as well as 7 million civilians. 36% of all deaths were Entente military, 22% were the Central Powers military, another 22% were Central Powers civilians, and the final 20% were Entente civilians. The First World War was and still remains the bloodiest war ever fought in the history of the United Kingdom, France, Italy, Belgium, Bulgaria, Romania, Serbia, Turkey, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. The Second World War was actually not as bad for all of these mentioned countries, but it would be worse for others like Russia and Germany. Hopefully, after two terrible lessons during the 20th century, humanity will never forget what can happen when we let our differences get the better of us. Lessons of any kind are valuable for both society and individuals. If you made it all the way through this video to here, it's clear that you enjoy learning. So why not learn even more about anything you want to by going...
No, that's actually a good website, man. But yeah, I'm gonna parse it here, man. I'm gonna parse it here. I didn't get no money paid for this. But oh, that was mean. But anyway, guys, that was amazing, man. That was an amazing war, World War One. That was crazy. I didn't even know it was the bloodiest war because we always hear in school about World War Two. Because World War Two is the definition of a new war. You know what I mean? Like it's not been that long ago since it was. Even though I think it's not that long ago. But other people, they think, oh, it's a long time ago. It's not really that long time ago. Like racism, you know? It's not that long time ago. It was 60s, 70s, 50s. You know, it's crazy, man. It's very crazy. We have 2020 now, so it's not that far away. But I just mean like the war is just crazy. Like it brings so many casualties and people who just trying to survive. And for what? For what? For showing your dick off? Like seriously, for showing your dick off to other countries and trying to take over them. Like it's so crazy for me to think that people will go this far, but I'm not surprised because the human species are like that. Like we always have to do something about everything, you know? We will always have to overtake power no matter what it is. If it comes from activists, if it comes from DNA, genetic modified chickens or whatever it is. Because like when a species is about to die in the world, like there's 99% of species died in the world in entirely world history. Like it's just crazy to see that we as humans feel like we have to save everybody. We have to save everything. But that's the thing. We are superior for everything, and that's why we have to take care, which is a good thing. It's an ethic and moral thing to take care of each other and take care of animals, of course. I do not support animal abuse whatsoever. But I do love meat, and I'm not a vegan, and I don't like these extreme vegan coming to my place and tell me what I need to do because I really do love meat. I'm not in for mass production, but I'm just saying it's kind of crazy, man. It's kind of crazy that we as humans think we're gonna overtake everything and we always know the best. Like, you know, like when you ask people, are we the only ones in the universe? Of course we are, because we're scared that there's somebody who's bigger than us. I think it's a natural instinct. I don't know the theory behind that, but we never really learned about World War One because it's so far along. You know, I know my grandfather, he was a German soldier, but that's why, because he didn't have a choice. And that's what I'm talking about, because it's really, we discovered him not long ago, that he was a part of the family, and he was captured by the Englands, like the English people, like Britain. And he didn't really have a choice, because back here where I live, Germany was like our country. Like, it was our country because they took us over in World War One. We've been Germany for 50 years, and that's why we have a tight situation with Copenhagen and the rest of Denmark, because we feel like we are our own people, kind of, because we do our own thing and, you know, all this thing, but we still represent Denmark. I love my country to death, but still I have some Germany roots in it. Not like, but the language was changed, definitely. So yeah, that's an aspect to take, but I'm just saying, I don't understand why we have to take over everything as humans. But anyway, guys, I'm sorry about my little rant. Please do hit the like button down below in this video if you're really interested in this video and you really like my reaction, and please do subscribe to the channel. I see that there's a lot of new subscribers coming in, and I really do appreciate you. I love you from the bottom of my heart. I really mean that. I really do, because it's so amazing to see the channel is growing. It's awesome. I really do appreciate that. I really do appreciate every single one of you watching this video. I really do, man. So yeah, anyway, guys and girls, I'm gonna see you into the next video. Peace.